Welcome in or welcome back to another episode of You Are the One You Seek. I'm your host, David, and as per usual, I am reading from the Jeshua Channelings. I know I sound like a broken record, but I am finishing this book, damn it. And even if I have new and weird challenges like my jaw popping constantly, which is definitely a new thing for me, it really doesn't, it's not like super terrible, but it makes editing this thing kind of a beast because it pops a lot, mostly in between sentences, and I have to constantly edit it out. But then it also pops when I'm just talking, so it's a new thing, and starting to feel like, hey, is this a sign that maybe I should shut my mouth and not do this podcast? But again, like I said before, I tend to take every little physical restriction and use that as an excuse for why I should or shouldn't do something. Usually why I shouldn't do something, and it's really held me back. But it's also a real issue. I mean, I have a ton of weird symptoms and body problems that do prohibit me from quite a bit. You know, if it's not the 24/7 crushing headaches that I take an inordinate amount of medication for, it's the aching muscles and sensitive, weak joints, and also a terrible digestion. Just unbelievably sensitive to like almost every food. And, I've had success there at certain points, but it required so much work and discipline and rigorous activity of a certain kind to get there that it's really hard for me to maintain that because I'm just not the most focused and disciplined person you'll ever meet, for sure. I'm usually emotionally led more than I am led by routine or led by, let's do this thing this way and just make it happen. It's kind of like I need to feel it. I need to feel connected to it. So, and that sort of ties into this chapter, which is Pitfalls and the Way to Becoming a Healer, which, it's definitely where I'm at in a big way. I want to be, I put that intention out there. I want to be a healer of some type, whether it's just through sharing my story, with this podcast or a book or something like that, or physically helping people in a hands-on way, doing something like end-of-life care or something like that. I really don't know, but I want to be of service, but I also haven't really fully healed the parts in me that are kind of in the way of that. And, you're never going to fully heal yourself before you can heal others either. That's kind of a misnomer and another way I feel like to get off track and say, well, it's never going to happen because look at all these major things. But Jeshua here in this series is trying to explain, what kind of gets in our way typically of being able to do the things we want to do and helping other people, and how destructive it can be to put all of our eggs in the basket of I need to change or help or heal this person, So I really connect to this section of the book just like I do literally every section of this book. There's really nothing in there that I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. And so there's been a lot of cynicism out there about, channelings are, some sort of psyop or deception by trickster entities to try and get us into a manipulated view about who and what we are and what the universe is. But I don't know. I feel like if there's been any major manipulation with how we see ourselves, it's been with the bigger religions. Like to me, Yahweh was a trickster entity, and throughout the Old Testament is the villain, in my opinion. Now, if you disagree with that, there's no problem there. I am not saying this to offend anybody, but as an ex-Christian, I've been through a lot of war with these beliefs. 37 years of wrestling with where do I land on this stuff, and it really all came down to the heart for me, the heart of it, and what is the heart of love. And I just didn't see fear as a necessary component in love. Fear is a tool, and fear teaches us why love is so important, but it's not wielded by source or creator. It's not wielded by Yeshua even, to me. I think, again, fear is something we create to have this dense experience, to have this feeling of separation so that we can even more and better appreciate what love actually is and step fully into our roles as creators ourselves. Because to me, that's where all of this is leading. It's all heading towards we are basically doing the legwork to fully appreciate the power of source creation that has been bestowed to us when we were created by source. So as individual spirits, we're already divine and perfect, but we kind of didn't really fully appreciate that until we had some contrast to understand it with. And you can see this play out in regular life, like anything you have to work hard for. There's a lot of points where you're questioning it, or you hate it, or it hurts you. But then at the end of it, you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I did that. Look at this new perspective I found. Look how much I can now appreciate how good love is and how good, having things kind of settled is, or whatever. So without doing any more editorializing or sermonizing, let me go ahead and get into this material. Now, again, if you want to find it directly through Pamela and Gerrit's website, you can go to www.jeshua.net, and they have a ton of resources there for other books, other channelings, current, recent channelings from Jeshua that are always great. And yeah, just a really unique story from Pamela and a background on kind of where she's coming from. And I'll even read, when I get to the end of this book, sort of the prologue about channelings, the nature of channelings, according to Pamela. And I found it very refreshing because it wasn't like some ego trip where she's saying she's got it figured out. She's saying, hey, this is subjective, right? This is coming through me, and I am doing my best to kind of get myself out of the way and let Yeshua speak through me, but it's always going to be coming through a human filter, so there's always, some level of bias, and so you have to take it with a grain of salt, and I really appreciate that she says that in there. But with that being said, I really just connect so much to the words of Yeshua through these channelings. And I know I keep repeating that, but it's truly how I feel. So here we go. Pitfalls on the way to becoming a healer. Dear friends, it is with great pleasure and happiness that I bid you welcome in this place where you have gathered to hear me, an old friend of yours. I am Yeshua. I have been among you in my life on earth as Jesus. I have been human, and I know all that you go through as human beings in an earthly body and in an earthly life, and I have come here to help you understand who you are. All of you who are present here, and many among you who will read this text later on, are light workers. You are angels of light who have forgotten who you really are. You all have gone through many trials on your journey on earth throughout your many earthly lifetimes, and I know these trials from within. You have now come to a point in your soul's history at which you are completing a cycle of lifetimes. At this point, you are more and more connecting to the greater self that you really are, the self that is independent of time and space. You are in the process of allowing your greater immaterial self into your earthly being, into your everyday life. You still find it hard to keep a steady connection to your greater or higher self because you have forgotten that you truly are this great source of light yourself. Nevertheless, you have all started the journey within, and along this journey you have felt the desire, even the calling, to help others on their way to inner growth and self-awareness. It is natural, especially for light workers, to want to share your insights and experiences with others. You are all born teachers and healers. From the moment you take it upon yourself to guide others as a teacher or healer, you are likely to stumble upon a number of pitfalls. These pitfalls are the result of certain miscomprehensions about what it means to guide someone spiritually. They follow from misconceptions about the nature of healing and your part in it as a healer. It is about these pitfalls that I would like to speak today. What is healing? What is the essence of healing? What happens when someone gets well, whether it is on the psychological, emotional, or physical level? What happens is that this person is able to connect again to his or her own inner light, to his or her own greater self. This connection has a healing effect upon all layers of the self, the emotional, physical, and mental levels. What every person is looking for in a healer or teacher is an energy space which enables them to reconnect to their inner light, the part of them that knows and understands. The teacher or healer is able to offer this space because they have already made this connection within. The healer has a frequency at their disposal, an energetic vibration which holds the solution to their client's problem. To be a healer or teacher means to carry the energetic frequency of the solution in your energy field and to offer it to someone else. That's what it is, nothing else. Basically, it is a process that can take place without words or actions. It is the energy itself that you have as a teacher or healer which has the healing effect. It is your enlightened energy that opens up the possibility for someone else to remember what they already know, to connect to his inner light, to her intuition. It is this remembrance, this connection that makes the healing happen. All healing is really self-healing. To heal or teach, then, has in fact nothing to do with specific skills or specific knowledge that can be learned from books or by taking courses. Healing power cannot be acquired by something external. It is about the frequency of the solution that is present within your own energy field as a result of your own inner growth and clarity of consciousness. Often as a teacher and healer, you are all still involved in personal growth processes. Yet there are parts of your energy field that have become so clear and pure that they can have a healing effect upon others. It is essential to understand that this effect is not something you have to work hard for. It is the client who decides whether or not to assimilate the energy you offer, whether to allow it in. It is the client's choice. You offer it by who you are, by being there for the other. It is not by the skills or knowledge you have learned from anyone else that you have a healing influence, but purely by who you are, the inner road you have traveled. It is especially in the area of problems that you have gone through yourself at a deep emotional level that you can truly help others. Your light in these areas shines like a beacon to people who are still stuck in these issues, beckoning them gently to get out of them. In the areas where you have healed yourself from deep-seated hurts and wounds, you have become a true master, someone whose wisdom is based on inner knowing and genuine experience. Self-healing, taking responsibility for your inner wounds, and enveloping them in the light of your consciousness is the key to becoming a teacher and healer. It is the ability to heal yourself that makes you a light worker. This creates the energy of the solution in your being, which offers to others a doorway to their own power of self-healing. When you are treating clients or helping people in your environment, you often read their energy. You intuitively tune into them when you listen to them, give them advice, or treat them with energetic healing methods. However, the client or person you are working with is just as busy reading you. Just like you are tuning into their energy, they are, consciously or subconsciously, absorbing your energy. They intuitively feel whether or not what you say and do is in accordance with all of you, whether it is matched by what you radiate, your energy vibration. They feel who you are apart from your words and actions. It is in the reading of you by the client that the real breakthrough occurs. When the client feels free and safe in your presence, when they feel surrounded by a type of consciousness that empowers them to trust their inner knowing, then everything you say or do takes on a healing quality. When your words and actions are backed up by who you are, they become the carriers of light and love that can take the client into the core of their own light and love. Whenever someone honestly asks you for help, this person is open to your energy in such a way that they can be touched by the purest and clearest part of you. This part of you does not stem from the books you read or the skills you have learned. It is the result of a personal alchemy, a personal transformation of consciousness that bears your unique hallmark. I would like to strongly emphasize this, as there seems to be a tendency among lightworkers, people who by their nature feel a strong urge to help others, to keep searching for a new book, a new method, a new ability that can help one be a better teacher or healer. True healing is this simple. When I lived on Earth, I conveyed a certain energy with my eyes. Something flowed out of my eyes that had an immediate healing effect on the people who were open to it. This was no magic trick or some unique skill I owned. I was in touch with my inner source of truth. I naturally radiated the divine light and love that were my heritage, just like they are your heritage, and I touched other living beings with it. It is the same with you. You are no different from me. You have walked the same inner road and gone through the same trials and sorrows to eventually get to the same point as I did when I lived on Earth. You are all becoming conscious, Christed beings. The Christ energy is your spiritual destiny, and you are gradually integrating this energy into your day-to-day existence. It is the Christ within you who heals and teaches as a natural consequence of who the Christ energy is. Too often you still identify yourself with being the apprentice or the pupil who sits at the feet of a teacher and listens and asks and searches. But I am telling you that the time of being a pupil is over. It is time to claim your mastership. It is time to trust the Christ within and to bring this energy to manifestation in your everyday reality. To become one with the Christ within and to teach and heal from that energy, you need to let go of a number of things. These things represent the pitfalls on the roads to becoming a healer/teacher. I will differentiate among 3 areas in which these pitfalls occur. Pitfalls of the head. The first pitfall lies in the area of the head or the mind. You are very adept at analyzing things and categorizing them according to some general frame of reference. This might be handy in some circumstances, but in general, the mental, thinking part of you is very much a part of the world of duality. With the world of duality, I mean a type of consciousness that divides things into good or bad, light or dark, healthy or sick, masculine or feminine, friend or foe, etc. It is a type of consciousness that loves to separate and label, and that does not recognize the underlying unity of all phenomena. It is a type of consciousness that likes to work with general principles and a rational, objective application to individual cases. It does not really consider the possibility of another, much more direct approach to reality, the approach of intuitive knowing, or knowing by feeling. The Christ energy is outside of duality. The Christ energy constitutes the flow of being that underlies all polarities. But the mind does not recognize the very existence of this mystical level of oneness. The mind would like to split up the ocean of being into definable parts, categorizing it in such a way that it can get a rational grip on it. The mind likes to design structures, theories that can be placed over reality, over direct experience. Again, this is sometimes useful and beneficial, especially in practical matters, but not so much when it comes to true healing and teaching, i.e., healing and teaching from the heart. When you approach your client from a theoretical framework, you try to place their individual symptoms into a general category, and you look to the theory to find out about this type of problem and the solutions to it. This is what you learn when you are trained to be a psychologist, social worker, or any type of professional counselor. I am not saying that all of this is wrong, but what I would like to ask of you is this. When you are working with someone, whether professionally or in your personal life, try to let go of all your thoughts and reasoning, all of your presumptions about what is the matter with the other, and simply listen from your heart. Tune into the other person's energy from a silent place within. Try to just feel with your heart and intuition where the other person is standing, what it feels like to be in their inner world. Often you foster a lot of ideas about what someone else needs to do to solve their problems. You analyze their problem and you think up the answer to it. And you may even be largely right in your thinking. But the point is, your ideas are not necessarily attuned to the energy of the other person in the now moment. You might be completely out of touch with how they actually feel inside. Your help is only fruitful when it is attuned to the energetic reality of the one you are helping. It might be that he or she needs a wholly different approach than you can fathom with your rational mind. I invite you to see and feel the other person purely from the still, intuitive place inside of you. Allow yourself to transcend duality and to be filled with the compassion of the Christ within. I invite you to really be inspired by the presence of the other when you offer them teaching and healing. The solution is then often very simple. What is needed from you is not your knowledge, but your wisdom. What is asked of you is not your judgment, but your compassion and deep understanding. You are not there to provide the solution, to be the face of authority. You are there to be the face of love. Let us turn to an example to illustrate this issue. Take parents who want to help their children with problems they encounter. Due to their experience, parents can often make better assessments of the consequences of certain actions than their children can. On the basis of this knowledge, parents often warn their children. They want to save them from harm, and they advise them to do what they think is the right thing to do. This might seem to be a good way of helping from the mind's point of view, and in some cases it is very reasonable to do so. However, very often, if a parent would tune into a child from a silent, intuitive place inside, the parent would find out what the child truly needs from them is something else entirely. What the child often needs most is the trust and reassurance of the parent. Trust me, let me be who I am. Let me make mistakes. Let me stumble and keep your faith in me. When you connect to your child from a place of trust, you are in fact encouraging them to rely on their own intuition. This may help them make a decision that feels good to them and that is understandable from your point of view as well. If, however, you try to make your child do something from the notion that you know better, your child will sense distrust in your attitude, and this will cause them to resist you even more. Children read you when you offer them assistance. It is in the nature of children to be keenly aware of the emotions behind your words. They can sense your underlying fear or judgment. They will often react to this emotion instead of to your words, and when they react with aversion, they seem utterly unreasonable. However, the parent may be acting too reasonable, meaning that they do not recognize their own underlying emotions and are not trying to connect to the child in an open and honest way. To do so, the parent will have to let go of their preconceived notions and really open up to the emotional reality of the child. From genuinely listening to the cares and concerns of the child, a bridge of communication can be built. I mention this example because it is so common and easy to relate to, and because we all know how difficult it is to support your children from an attitude of trust and openness. It is all about letting go. Letting go of your ideas of what should be, your wishes and desires, and truly letting the other person be. To envelop someone else with a space of openness and true heartfelt understanding is to offer real healing power to someone. Often what really helps the other is your total acceptance of how things are. It is when you are not trying to change something from the level of the mind that you truly connect to someone and open up the doorway to love and compassion for them. The pitfall of the heart. The second pitfall you come across when you endeavor to be a teacher and healer is in the area of the heart. The heart is a meeting point of many energies. The heart center, or chakra, forms the bridge between heaven and earth, and between the higher and the lower energy centers, or chakras. The heart collects energies of a different origin and is able to recognize the underlying unity. The heart enables you to transcend duality and to reach out to someone else with love and compassion. The heart is the seat of your ability to tune into someone else's energy and to feel what it is like to be that person. It is the center of empathy. Clearly then, the heart plays an important part in any form of spiritual teaching or healing. Many of you are natural empaths. You have a natural inclination to sense moods and energies from other people. This ability serves you greatly when you work with people. However, there is an important pitfall connected to this ability as well. Your sensitivity towards other people's energy may be so strong that you find it hard to distinguish between your own emotions and the emotions of someone else. Sometimes you absorb the other person's energy so strongly that you lose your sense of self. You may want to help someone else so much, especially since you know how they are feeling, that your energies get mixed up and you start to carry burdens that are not your own. When this happens, an imbalance occurs. You are giving too much. You overstep your boundaries when you let yourself be carried away by the suffering of someone else and go out of your way to help them. The energy you give too much of will turn against you. This extra energy goes out to the other person but does not contribute to the solution of their problem. The client may be unable to integrate or receive this energy, or they may be frightened by it, or it may simply go unnoticed by them. You will end up feeling tired, annoyed, and frustrated. You can tell when you are giving too much by the signals your body and emotions are sending out to you. Whenever you feel empty, frustrated, or heavy after you have seen a client or tried to help someone generally, this indicates that you have been trying too hard. When you offer teaching and healing from a balanced, centered standpoint, you feel free, alive, and inspired. After the meeting with someone has ended, you easily draw back your energy and touch base with yourself. You let go of the other person and no cords or strings keep lingering between your energy fields. If an energy link remains with the other person because you so dearly want him or her to get well or be happy, that link has a destructive effect on your energy. By staying preoccupied with a client, you will absorb their emotional energies too strongly. You will give of yourself to alleviate their burden. And this is where an emotional dependence, which goes both ways, comes into being between the two of you. The client starts to lean upon you, and your well-being will become dependent on their well-being. This entanglement of energies is not helpful to the client, and it is depleting to you. Why does this happen so easily when you start to help people? Why is this pitfall so difficult to avoid, especially for light workers? Where does this painfully strong need come from to heal and make whole, and to make the world a better place? In part, this natural desire in you is explained by your soul history as related in the Lightworker series. You have an inner mission to bring teaching and healing to this world, but the tendency to give too much stems from a pain in yourself that you are not totally aware of. This pain makes you overeager in giving. There is a pain and sadness in your heart that makes you want to reach out for a new way of being, a level of consciousness more attuned to the natural divinity of all that lives. You are homesick for a more loving and peaceful reality on earth. In your present incarnation, you have not come to explore the ways of the ego. You are tired and weary of that. You have come to answer to an ancient song of your soul. You have come to help restore peace, joy, respect, and connectedness on earth. Your emotional body has been scarred by many lifetimes in which you endeavored to bring down the light of your soul, and you encountered resistance and rejection. You have come here with great reservations, and at the same time the old flower of passion has not withered within you. You are here again, but now, due to the pain that you carry within, you are like delicate and sensitive flowers who need a strong foundation in order to flourish and grow. The foundation you all need is a firm sense of being, grounded to earth and centered in yourself. By being grounded, I mean that you need to have roots into the earth, to be aware of how earth reality works, to know what the elements are that you have to deal with while living in a physical body. Sometimes you are so enamored with the spiritual that you forget to take good care of yourself and your body. You get spaced out or too idealistic and unreal. You would often like to transcend earth reality, but it is only through the earth, by feeling at home and at ease with the element of earth, that your soul energy can bloom here. By centeredness, I mean that you need to be true to your own feelings, to your own sense of what is right for you. As a human being, you have an ego or individual personality that separates you from others. The ego serves a valuable function. It enables you to focus your specific soul energy into material reality. You do not want to give up your individuality to any kind of greater good. You are not here to eliminate your ego. You are here to let the light of your soul shine through your ego. You need your ego to manifest your energy outwardly. Because of the pain you carry in your souls, because of your weariness of the old, because you want to reach out to the promised land of the new earth, you can become ungrounded and lose your centeredness. You tend to push change where the situation is not yet ready, or you try to awaken people at a pace that is faster than they can handle. You become overeager in giving. This eagerness may take the form of great involvement with a good cause or of caring intensely for the well-being of others. But there is an impatience and restlessness at the heart of it. You may feel inspired for a time, passionate and involved, but you will be disappointed at some point, and then you will feel exhausted and angry because you have depleted your energy resources. The pitfall of the heart, the pitfall of giving too much, stems from not accepting reality as it is. There is an impatience and a restlessness in you which makes it difficult for you to let go. It makes it difficult for you to keep the right emotional distance from the people you are trying to help or the causes you are involved in. You are teachers and healers. You do have a mission on earth. But to truly fulfill it, you paradoxically need to let go of that dire need to change things, because your eagerness to do so has an edge of pain to it, the pain of not feeling at home on earth as it is now. True spiritual change always starts from a foundation of acceptance. To truly become the teacher and healer you want to be, you need to embrace your own pain and heal it. You need to find peace with your own deepest emotions of fear and anger. If you do, you will find out that the urgent need to give to others or to be involved in a good cause makes place for a very quiet feeling of peace and acceptance. This is when your radiance truly gets a healing quality to it. Letting go of other people's pain and trials and completely allowing them the time and space to go through their own process may give you inner pain. This is because it brings you right back to your own loneliness and the sense of being lost in this earthly reality. The difference between this harsh and imperfect world and the reality you dream of, so much more pure and beautiful than this one, hurts you deep inside. It is your challenge to not run away from this hurt, to let it enter your awareness fully and spread your angel wings around it. Once you recognize your eagerness to help or fight for a good cause and become aware of the hidden pain in there, the part of not accepting reality as it is, you can start to let go of it. As soon as you realize that your eagerness and impatience comes from an inner pain and sadness, you can stop giving too much. You can focus on yourself and find ways to really be at peace with who you are. You can truly start to give to yourself. This is when you become a fully grounded and centered lightworker, accepting of yourself and others. The only proper thing to do as lightworker is to make your energy available to others. You teach and heal by radiating the energy of the solution that is present in your own energy field. Often you draw people to you with exactly the type of problems that you have gone through yourself. You have gone to the bottom of these issues yourself, and therefore in these areas you have reached a knowingness and purity that have become part of your being. These are the enlightened parts of you. They are sacred and inviolable, and cannot be lost. They are not built from learned knowledge that you can forget about. What you have to offer to others is not some tool or theory. It is you transformed by life, experience, and the courage to face your inner wounds. The light work that you have to do in this regard will come to you without effort. It will be something that feels very natural to you. To find your mission, the thing you are meant to do in life, you only need to be aware of what you truly long for and to do the things you feel inspired to do. When you do so, you will put your energy out into the world and others will be touched and inspired by it, sometimes in ways that you may not even be aware of. There's no more to be done, really. This is the light work you came to do. Light workers who know the balance between giving and receiving will have more peace and enjoyment in their lives and therefore will radiate the frequency of the solution even more fluently from their energy fields. They are sensitive and empathic, but they have a clear sense of their personal boundaries as well. They allow themselves to just as easily receive as to give, and in that way both the flow of giving and the flow of receiving will become stronger in their lives. The pitfall of the will. Now I would like to discuss one more pitfall on the way to becoming a healer/teacher. I have mentioned one pitfall in the area of the head and one in the area of the heart, and I would like to finish with the pitfall of the will. The will can be localized in the solar plexus, a center of energy near the stomach. This center or chakra steers the ability to act, to manifest your inner energy outward on the physical earthly plane. When the will is connected to your intuition, the quiet part of you that transcends duality, things will flow easily and effortlessly in your life. You will act from an inner sense of trust and knowing. When your solar plexus, which is also the center of the ego, is guided by the heart, you generally do the things you love to do and you feel joyful and inspired most of the time. The will or ego has then become the extension of the Christ within. Often, however, when you try to help or guide others, you get out of touch with this flow. There is a part of you that wants to do too much. It seeks to achieve results by forcing or pushing things a little, even if your intuition tells you to let go or back off. Often, it is your personal ego that craves visible results here. This has nothing to do with helping others. It has to do with the need for validation that you have, an insecurity which gets you out of touch with the natural flow of healing, which is often slower and more unpredictable than you wish it to be. You do too much when you feel like you are working very hard and your input is not really received or appreciated by others. Also, when you have separated yourself from the natural flow of things, you often get distracted by outside judgments. You tend to rely on other people's ideas and expectations, and you are afraid to fail in their eyes. The key to regaining your strength is to not do anything and to become really quiet within. It is only when you connect to your heart again that you can tune into the situation from a quiet and neutral space. Then your fear and insecurity disappear into the background, and you can truly focus on what your client needs from you. Often, you do not need to do so much for him or her. You are first and foremost asked to be with them and to offer them the energy of the solution in a simple and direct way. You need to trust the power of your presence, even when you do or say nothing. Dare to be in that silent space when you are with someone. When you trust yourself, you will know in that moment what the appropriate thing to say or do is. Remember that often when it comes to offering guidance, less is more. Letting go is love. Overcoming the pitfalls I described above always involves a type of letting go. It is about letting go of thinking too much, letting go of identifying too much emotionally, and letting go of excessive use of the will. If you let all that go, however, and surrender to the most wise and compassionate part of you, you will find deep joy and fulfillment in your work as a teacher and healer. As the light workers that you are, you will experience a deep sense of self-realization and freedom. In being a teacher and healer in whatever way you express it, you feel connected to the whole, to the oneness that underlies all that is. Feeling part of this fabric of spirit and playing your natural part in it make you feel like you are truly accomplishing your mission. Meditation. This is an exercise that may help you get in touch with the issues mentioned in the channeling in a more direct, emotional way. Sit or lie down in a comfortable position. Focus your attention on the muscles of your shoulders and neck and release any tightness or tension there. Do the same with the muscles of your abdomen, your arms, and your legs. Then travel with your consciousness to your feet and feel your connection to Earth. Feel how Earth is carrying you and providing you with the security you need. Take a couple of easy breaths from your abdomen. Now let your imagination take you back to a moment in time when you felt very down and unhappy. Take whatever situation comes up first. Go with it. Think again of that time in the past and how you felt inside. Then go to the energy of the solution. Ask yourself, how did I get out of this? What helped me most of all? The energy that helped you the most may have come from yourself or from someone else. That doesn't matter. Just consider the kind of energy that lifted you from the lowest point. Now let go of the past and think of someone in the present who is dear to you and who you have some concerns about. It might be your partner or child or a colleague or friend. Let that person appear to you in your imagination and really take in their presence. Then ask, how can I help you? What would be the most valuable thing I could do for you? Listen with your heart. What is the other person showing you or saying to you? Feel the answer. Just allow it to come to you. Let go and focus your attention on your feet again, to your breathing, and return to the present. The goal of this exercise is to become aware of what is truly helpful in a situation of emotional crisis or pain. This may be quite different from what you think is helpful. End of chapter. All right, I did most of my talking up front, so I'm not going to do a big, long piece here at the end. I'm excited to keep reading these and get to the end of the book and have it all compiled sort of on the channel. I am making a playlist on here, so go ahead and on the YouTube channel, go and look under playlists and you'll see all of the Jeshua Channelings in the, I believe in the order currently that they are in the book. If not, they're in the order in which I released them. I have to look at it again. I should have known that going into saying this, but here you go. Either way, there is a playlist of the Jeshua Channelings that I have read to this point. So yeah, check that out. Hit the like and subscribe button and all that junk. It does help. I kind of get the vibe sometimes that my channel's been, I don't want to say shadow banned, but it's not getting promoted very much because I do deal with some really serious topics, and I think having that even, talking about suicide at all probably flags something and makes my content less visible. And, that's fine. I'm not here to try and be popular. I just want people to hear these messages and have a chance to, figure out if it's something that resonates with them or not. And if not, there's no pressure. I don't need people to believe this stuff. I just really feel in my heart challenged to apply it to myself. But I also feel like it's better to share it when there's so much hope and joy attached to it. And I've put so much cynicism, frustration, and anger out into the world that it's kind of my whole trip in life to try and alchemize that in some way, to fix it, to make it different, to put love out there, and to make myself really vibrate on that frequency and stop seeing everything as this horror show and, being cynical about everything and being a doomer. And I guess I felt maybe somewhat authentic being that way because in my mind I wasn't BSing myself with all this fluffy garbage everyone else was, but I was also just a miserable person and judgmental and critical towards others. So it wasn't just about, oh, I'm enlightened because I see through all this stuff. It was like, well, let me continue to make things worse by, flinging more dirt onto the pile. And maybe that's a terrible metaphor, but I think you get what I'm saying. So yeah, this is my this last section of my life is more of a redemption tour from the first 37 years of it, which, it's not like I was some monster, okay, for 37 years, but I definitely had a lot more of a flair for kind of I know it all already. I don't need to learn really anything about anything other than to try and, figure out the Bible a little more, but I was just a lot more critical and judgmental about the world, and it was not a good place. So I don't know if I have a long life ahead of me. I get pretty weird about that, like thinking I'm going to die really soon. Mostly because both of my grandpas died at 64. And I mean, I'm only 42, but I've had a lot of just kind of weird cardiac stuff in the last few years that, I've gone to specialists, and it doesn't, my heart condition, something very minor that they say is like not a life-threatening thing, but I just have this weird vibe that like I'm going to have a heart attack and die, sooner than later. And I hope my kids don't hear this, but but it is kind of a morbid obsession of mine in a way. And I'm not really bothered at all by it. I just don't want to. I would like to die without like totally traumatizing my family would be great, and to have them sort of understand in some way that I fully accept that death is not an end, it's a beginning, and it's a portal back to a higher reality and like true understanding. I really still believe that. That's one thing that you can't really take away from me with all these NDEs is just the solidity that we're beyond our physical self. Now, I can't, again, verify channelings and things like that, but I guess I find it a little more compelling that like 5% of the population has had an NDE, and how harmonious many of the events in those NDEs are. I mean, they're all uniquely different, which is also great to me. Like, they're tailored to our own individuality. We're not all having some linear one-size-fits-all experience when we die, which is kind of the old school, religious way. You either go to heaven or hell, and it's all kind of one flavor. I don't believe that. I believe that because of the creative expansiveness of Source, we also have that same juice flowing through us, man. So like, it's all about leaning back into that when we release ourselves from these bodies. Like, it'll feel amazing to die. But I still have a lot of things here that I feel like I'm meant to do and learn from. And so I'd rather not die sooner than later. But if this podcast just suddenly goes, like, disappears, or it'll still be up, hopefully. But if I stop making episodes just without any warning, something happened to me, all right? I hope this isn't one of those weird things that'll come back around. People will listen to this and go, oh man, he called it. Hopefully I'll live another 20 years, or if there's actually this whole shift and flash of light and chrysalis into a 5D body and all that kind of stuff, then maybe I'll be around for a really long time, kind of in this form, roughly. But I don't need that to happen. I don't feel like I need David O'Donnell to be an old man or to have done X, Y, or Z things, if they're not really part of my growth as a soul. So I think that's what we're here to do, is grow our soul, to work our way back to spirit, but to be able to create whatever we want kind of with that, with these experiences. So I repeat myself a lot on that, but I really believe that's the point, is to fully appreciate our own creator ability, and that we are equal with Source. We're just currently fractionated through a tiny filter, a tiny, just infinitesimal fraction of our full value, potential, and ability and understanding. But it's not a bad thing. We did this on purpose. We came here to do this crazy dance on Mother Earth, and I think we're going up. I think things are going to really expand here and change in a powerful way, in a positive way, sooner than later. But there's going to be a lot of flooding and volcanoes and earthquakes and natural disasters to accommodate that, so it's going to look really scary. And of course, we got World War III being teased all the time. I don't believe that's going to happen. I don't believe we're going to face annihilation. I don't believe we're going to nuke ourselves to oblivion. But I kind of think we might need some intervention to prevent that. So we'll see what happens. But trying to float between holding that wide open faith for like fantastic and amazing events, and also like pairing it with my more cynical nature that's like, dude, you really think that's going to happen? you really think you're going to see all this cool stuff play out in your lifetime? But you know what? Truth is, I don't know. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay just to let it kind of unfold and to roll with it as it happens. So anyway, I said I wasn't going to rant for very long, which is always, if you know me, it's comically a famous phrase right before I go into a just mouth dump. Sorry, Mom. She's not listening. Anyway, I will catch you on the next one. I believe the next chapter is, speaking of Mom, oh boy, I believe the next chapter I'm reading is Letting Go of Your Birth Family, which is a really powerful chapter. Really powerful. Again, just like if you don't even believe that this is from Yeshua, just the information that it contains, the practical advice, to me is really valuable. You know, I really actually think you could extract it away from it being this divinely inspired thing and just say, well, this is just actually good advice that's worth trying out. But that's just me. So, yep, I'll be reading that one. And, oh yeah, and don't forget to check me out, of course, on Instagram. If you really, I don't know, I don't get much traction on that page, but that's the only social media I guess I'm willing to have at this point. I don't want to be on Twitter. That's what I'm calling it. Thank you very much. I don't want to be on Twitter or TikTok. So maybe that's to my own detriment, but it is what it is. You can also email me at youhavethekeys639@gmail.com. Let me know if you have an NDE or a story that you want to share on the podcast. Just share your story, have a discussion. I'm open to doing that with really anybody who feels kind of led to do that. Now, I probably will at least have a conversation with you to make sure it's going to be a good fit, or we're going to have something to talk about that will make a somewhat compelling episode. But I don't really need you to impress me either. I just kind of, I guess you have to have some kind of filtering process. I really don't know. I'm new at all this. Maybe I shouldn't worry about that, and you can just come on here and you can be a total wacko, and I'll let you have at it. I don't know. Anyway, thank you again for listening, and I hope that, as usual, you go in love and light, and namaste.